And I'll harken back to where we're already utilizing it. Nuclear submarines or small modular reactors.
But let me ask you about the mystery of what otherwise is known as a reasonably liberal state. Vermont has 84% of its electricity generated by nuclear power. How did that happen? Do you guys know any of the history of that? You would think that would be one of the last places.
It's ages ago. They built one of those big reactors there, and that's how it's powered. And it was, New York has one too. Nothing recent though.
But not like 80 of...
17% of San Diego gas and electric energy comes from nuclear generators at a surfing spot in California called San Onofre. So this technology has been vastly utilized by enlightened states around the nation.
The last point I wanted to emphasize is that as Hawaii electricity payers, we're paying between 20-some cents, depending on which island. Oahu is about 22, 25, to Kauai 30-something, to other smaller islands, maybe in the 40s or even you said the 50s.
The high one I saw was 52 cents. If these
go in, what's the cost? What's the consumer mindset about, hey, if we go nuclear, what's it in it for me? How much money would they end up paying per kilowatt hour if they're doing 25 to 50 cents per kilowatt hour?
My guess, you're going to know better, but my guess is that nuclear energy would be cheaper than anything that
50%, 40% cheaper?
50%. 10 to 15 cents a kilowatt hour would be the estimated cost of installing a small modular reactor. But Gene, I have to emphasize once again, this by itself is not the solution. We need a broad mix.
Okay, you said
geothermal.
Okay.
We need
good point.
We need sun. We need solar. We need ocean thermodynamics, ocean wave energy. So we need a broad base of energy sources.
But maybe not forever. You know, because I think we're in a period now, don't you agree? We're in a period now where we're checking this out. We're making an array of possibilities. We're trying to develop all of them, or the ones that are promising. But if you go fast forward for 20, 30 years, some will work better than others.
Yeah.
And those are the ones we're going to wind up focusing on.
And the great thing about small modular reactors, besides being infinitely safer than the big ones, you don't have a huge commitment. You don't have a $5 to $10 billion commitment. These things cost, $35 to $250 million. The Hyperion one lasts for about 10 years, and then you pull the darn thing out, the whole thing out. They're easy sequestered. So there's a great amount of flexibility. And the other thing I really like about it, Gene, is we break up the grid. We no longer, we had a terrible crisis Christmas Eve several years ago. We had a island-wide energy blackout. It just cost us hundreds of millions of dollars in lost revenue and wasted.
It was embarrassing, except for Perry and Price, who came to the rescue.
Exactly right. Exactly. And it's just no call for that. So we have to get into the 21st century. The industrial revolution's over. We're in the technological revolution. The technological revolution has to be driven not by fossil fuel, but by technology, wind, solar, and nuclear energy.
There's a huge question here about the grid versus local energy. And it's not resolved. It's not resolved here, and it's not resolved elsewhere.
My wife keeps telling me, let's get a windmill, put it in well, she said, if it's not noisy, let's put it in the backyard. We get something uphill.
If I gave you a very efficient windmill, that might run your house with batteries, or PV, that might run your house. Some people are doing that. And then you could theoretically get off the grid. And if I gave that to everybody, we wouldn't need a grid, would we?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the future. I wouldn't bet on it, but
I think
maybe
we're going
that's
in
the
that
future.
direction. And if I can summarize Senator Hemmings' point, it's let's not take the nuclear option off the table.
That's
I'm
exactly
not talking military terms, but in terms of energy generation, let's not take it off the table.
Exactly.
You're not saying we got to go nuclear tomorrow.
No.
You're saying, hey, let's keep it on the table. Let's keep it in the intellectual, scientific, otherwise analytical framework.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not have a knee-jerk emotional reaction. Technologies change. It's clean, it's safe, it's reliable, and it can be utilized to benefit the people of Oregon.
Now, if this was the Dan Boylan program, I would have the phones ringing and saying, giving you guys feedback about how they agree or disagree with you. But since we are in the can and we're just about ready to wrap up, do you guys have any closing comments about where we've been in the nuclear option for
We
Hawaii?
have to consider all technological possibilities, including this one. And we should not, just as you said, it should not be an emotional knee-jerk opposition. It should be a careful, studied examination of the possibilities. This is really important because in the future, the society that has power at a reasonable price is the winning society. We are in a competition globally about that. We can't afford to take this lightly. We must find power at the cheapest rate possible, the most reliable possible, delivery systems. So this is something we need to look into.
Well put.
Gene, I would say to the people of Hawaii, never before in my lifetime have we been faced with more peril and more challenges regarding our survival and the quality of life here in Hawaii. But along with it comes greater opportunity. I happen to believe in the Garden of Eden. I believe that the future can be bright, that we can have energy from diversified, reliable, renewable sources that are safe, clean, efficient, cost-effective, and most importantly, safe for the people of Hawaii. Certainly in that mix of energy sources should be included small modular reactors and the use of nuclear energy for peacetime energy sources. We already have them here. It makes sense to utilize them for the benefit of the people of Hawaii.
There you have it, Hawaii. Senator Hemmings, J. Fidell, I'm Representative Gene Ward. Consider the nuclear option as something that's worth intellectually putting some time and effort in. This is Better Government. Thank you for viewing. Aloha.